Guy that, that basically just spent 20 minutes lying out of his ass. Yeah, the blue-haired VTuber dude. Yeah, the brain dead SCR. Well, he put out another video 5 days ago. And normally I wouldn't consider reacting to another one of his videos, except the particular topic of this video is something that I discuss frequently. And I thought it might be best to basically watch a video that might actually properly emphasize what I have said for so long. Because he did a video that is literally entitled, "What Do Words Mean?" So I have a feeling that he is basically because you guys know how I've talked about how all of these SJRs are continually destroying language. And the possible reasons why they are trying to destroy language, what the rationale behind that is. So again, I haven't seen this, so I'm legit curious if he is going to prove me right with everything I have said in regards to the destruction of language. I'm curious. So it's not a long video. It's shorter than his other one by almost 10 minutes. So hopefully we will not receive too much brain damage. But let's take a look and see what this guy has to say about what do words mean. And let's see if he can actually do words.
Words! What do they mean? How can we know? How can we find out? Why do people you hate keep using them wrong? These mysteries and more will be explored today on this edition of
Words. What's the deal? How come, what's going on with them?
Okay.
The first thing I want to talk about is, how...
No. The first thing we need to talk about, gamer, is your fucking hat. Can we talk about the hat first? My God. So the previous video, as you may or may not recall, his hat said basically he is a fascist killing machine, or this machine kills fascists. Now he's wearing a hat that says my other ride is your dad. So edgy. Much edge. Ooh. Like, really did... Already, 2 seconds in, he's trying too hard. Okay.
How words work. And you might be thinking, well, words work by having a definition, and that's what the word means, obviously. But like most things, it's a lot more complicated than that. Words are tools, and their utility comes from a shared meaning between different people that allows us to communicate ideas with one another. But that shared meaning is not determined entirely by their strict textbook definition. The meaning of a word can be broken down into two parts. Its denotation, which is the accepted literal definition of a word, and its connotation, which is the subtext or underlying meanings or associations that a word carries with it. These two things combine in different ways.
Okay, so far I'm on board. So far I'm with him, because he's not wrong. He is not wrong. You have the literal dictionary definitions of words, and then you have societal change. You have societal anachronisms that can change words to fit with a vernacular. So I'm in agreement so far. So far.
Depending on things like intent and audience and environment to form our understanding of a word at the time that we're using it. In trying to sort of visualize the relationship between these two concepts, I sort of imagine them like a continuum with denotation on one side and connotation on the other side, and a second vertical axis that we can kind of think of as number of possible meanings, or even something like maybe vagueness. At the far left, we have a purely denotative use of the word. That would be like a strict dictionary definition usage of the word with no room for any other interpretation. And then as we move right, the more the connotative component of the meaning comes into use, the more possible meanings and room for misunderstanding you will tend to have. Every time you use a word, you're essentially plotting out a place on this graph based on your intention. A context of your current conversation and your current audience inform how you choose to use your words and where your intention plots on this graph. And then, if you are communicating,
basically, what this guy is saying in a very, very wordy way is that you have words that have your basic dictionary definition of the words. But this line in the graph is denoting how society, how the current cultural zeitgeist can basically change the connotation and the number of possible connotations that can occur. So it's kind of, it's how, like, okay, say you have a denotation of cool. Okay, the word cool, the denotation of cool means to have a lowered or reduced temperature, i.e. it is cool, i.e. something is cooled off. The Earth's pizza was not cool before he started to consume it, i.e. it was still hot. But then with the societal connotations, as you go this way, cool can have at least one different definition, which that being the cool vernacular or slang, to basically indicate something is good, nice, awesome, a combo platter of those. So far, he's not incorrect in what he's saying. That there are a number of words that, depending upon the cultural zeitgeist or connotation or use in, the particular use in a sentence, in a particular context, can have varied meanings. He's not incorrect about this so far.
Successfully, the person you just said the word to maps it onto the same idea in their head from the same place on that graph, and they have understood your intended meaning. Now, right now, I imagine there might be at least one person who's watching this who's probably thinking, well, Jackson, you're just trying to explain in a really convoluted way why you aren't stupid for calling people grifters when they don't really meet the definition of grifter, aren't you? Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. Shut up and let me finish, please. So to understand.
Oh my God, he's going to try and, oh my God, he's going to try and bullshit away his improper use of the word grifter. He is literally going to try and bullshit away the fact that he called Rev and Kirsche and Leaflet grifters when they are not in any way, shape, or form grifters. Well, so is language. You forgot about that part, that language also is racist. Which, by the way, saying that someone is a grifter, literally for the purposes of, I don't like this person and I disagree with this person, is not a change of connotation. Okay? I'll just, I'll do a little spoilers right now, despite the gobbledygook that's going to come out of his mouth. When you call someone a grifter, we know what the definition of grifter is. I actually pulled it up on the fucking screen to show everybody, or I didn't pull it up, but I read it off the last time we did this video of what a grifter is. He's going to try to make the claim that because of the current social zeitgeist, that grifter has turned into basically, I don't agree with this person and therefore they should be disappeared. And I'm right in my use of this language because of connotative reasons. That it's in the social zeitgeist that grifter means this, which I hate to tell him this, you're wrong. You're fucking wrong. Because it doesn't. Because when it comes to connotations, there's, well, tell you what, I will hold off and I'll let him just dig himself I'll let him dig himself even deeper first.
This relationship between denotation and connotation, let's go ahead and take a look at a couple sentences that show both of these things in action. Here are two sentences that have a very similar denotative meaning, but they have very, very different connotative meaning.
I got it.
You are made of stupid.
This person is literally going to talk about denotation and connotation when he's not even using the same words. Yes, father and daddy, generally speaking, can mean the same things, but the categorization of denotation and connotation requires you to use the same fucking words. Why, in the holiest of fuck, ha ha ha, did you not do the example of "Forgive me, Father, I have sinned," or "Sorry, Father, I've been naughty"? Yeah, no kidding. Father means priest. I'm extremely aware that the father in this reference is referring to a priest, but why did he do father for the priest and daddy for a parental unit? Why didn't he do the father for the priest and then father for a parent as well? Because that would actually exemplify connotation or a denotation versus connotation. But instead, he's using two different words. Yes, they can colloquially mean the same thing, but it's literally two different words. You just fucked your own argument in the ass. You know that? Yeah, time to light.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
Oh no.
Sorry, Daddy.
God damn it.
Naughty.
Why? Well, I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. Oh, fuck. And he probably was too. Oh, okay. So, chat. Okay, hang on. I'll brain bleach you. Hang on. I will brain bleach. I will brain bleach. Give me 2 seconds. Fuck it. Fuck it. I'm doing it live. Fuck it. I'm doing it live. Oh, Daddy. I'm so sorry, Daddy. Daddy, I've been such a bad girl. Do you want to punish me, Daddy? Go ahead, Daddy. It's okay. I've been a bad girl. There you go. There's some brain bleach for you, chat. Ah, I forgot to turn those on. Mods, refund the borg points. I forgot to turn. I forgot I rebooted the fucking computer. Ah, God damn it, Scuff. Ah, the Scuff. Scuff strikes again. Refund the points, mods, please. Please refund the points. Okay. Okay, the bombs are back in action. Okay.
The thing that makes understanding all of this even more complex is the fact that both of these ends of our meaning graph can change over time. As a word is used more and more over time, it starts to pick up new connotations.
Except you use two different words. You've literally fucked your graph because you used two different words. Yeah.
And possible meanings. Sometimes it'll even pick up connotations that are completely unrelated or contradictory to the accepted denotation. But also, the denotation can change over time as well. Denotation is the accepted definition, not the literal etymology of a word. There's a great video about this that I'll link in the description. It explores the concept of skunked words, which are essentially words that have their meaning completely changed by colloquial usage over time, sometimes even meaning the opposite of what they once did. Sometimes words are used to communicate their literal meaning. Sometimes they are used to refer to more imprecise ideas that exist in their...
You think so? Well, okay, so he's viewing connotation not as a strict dictionary definition. So he's almost using connotation in the sense of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Yeah, like, okay, so he's exhibiting with connotation. He's almost exhibiting it as, oh fuck, it's in my head. It's in my head and I can't get it out. And I can't get the words out from my brain to come to my mouth. It's essentially, he's not ascribing connotation to be dictionary definition. He's ascribing connotation almost to be acronymous. Where words, not simply a single word being of a dictionary definition, but of multiple words that are acronyms of one another, effectively speaking. Because that's where the father and daddy would be, is they are essentially acronyms of one another. So, yeah. Yeah, that's where, like, okay. So if we're going with that, where he's expressing connotation is not strictly being dictionary definition, then his argument does fit here, where it's like you're using two words, either of which can be symbolic of a father, of a parental figure. Well, no, again, it still doesn't really. Again, again, his example doesn't work. His example doesn't work because while you can in the daddy line, you could use daddy or you can use father, but in the church line, you cannot replace father with daddy. Can you imagine going to a preacher and going, "Oh, daddy, I've sinned"? It's yeah, if we ignore the church context. But again, he's saying context matters. Okay, but you want to say take the census face value, but he's also saying that context in the use of the word matters. I mean, maybe I'm being way too literal. I have that issue. I could just be taking this way too literally, but by the fact that he said that context of the word usage does matter, then if you look at the context of those two sentences, it doesn't work because because you could only use father when talking to a priest. You could not use a different denotation of father, i.e. daddy, with a priest. So, I don't know. I could be looking at it way too literally on this one. I could be looking at this way too. I am probably looking at this way too literally.
Constellation of connotations. So, finally, with all that out of the way, we can start taking a look at some words, and let me try to gaslight you into thinking that I'm not misusing them. Grifter. Grifter. The origin of the word grift comes from the word graft. In the mid-19th century, graft was used to mean hard work. A person doing a graft is a grafter. But by around 1865, graft in the US had flipped its meaning completely. A graft was the obtaining of profit or advantage by dishonest or shady means, especially bribery, blackmail, or the abuse of position of power or influence. Then, by the early 1900s, the word grift arose as an offshoot of graft. The difference between grift and graft seems to come down to whether the person committing it is taking advantage of an official position. The grifter is a small-time confidence man, carnival swindler, a thief of some sort, while the grafter may be all of those things, but may also be somebody who engages in political corruption. Current definitions of grift tend to say something along the lines of to engage in petty or small-scale swindling, or a way of getting money dishonestly that involves tricking someone. And probably the most relevant modern meaning of the word grifter that most of us think of when we think of grifter content creators would be something along the lines of someone pretending to believe something they don't for the purposes of gaining money or influence from people who do believe those things. Or
so Hassan. He literally just described Hassan. Unknowingly, this man literally just defined Hassan. Listen again. He literally just laid it out.
Would be something along the lines of someone pretending to believe something they don't for the purposes of gaining money or influence from people who do believe those things.
This motherfucker literally just gave the dictionary definition of Hassan! And Denims! And Casey Trot! And all of them! He literally just described all of them!
Or maybe somebody who intentionally spreads disinformation or riles up an audience for personal gain. Those definitions don't really show up in any dictionaries, but I imagine that's what most of us think of when we think of the word grifter, and I think we would probably all agree that that's a pretty acceptable denotative meaning of this word currently.
Yes.
So what are some key connotations that would maybe go along with a more modern social media definition of the word grifter? I would say dishonesty, liar, self-serving, maybe greed, maybe politically charged, inflammatory, even
What about that, my fucking well. He's gonna say that, but that with grifter, you're gonna throw politically charged on its own in there, along with liar, dishonesty, self-serving, inflammatory, even inflammatory. You could maybe throw that in there, and greed. Politically charged on its own? No. No. politically charged on its own would not fit in with what a grift or a grifter would be. All the rest of it, sure. All the rest of it, sure. It's, well, politically charged can have that negative association, but in and of itself, and politically charged has like received a negative connotation because of the current time, but in and of itself, this alone, I suppose if you pair this up with the others, if he's saying like basically a combo platter of some or all of these, okay, I can give him that. I could. If we're talking about now, but no, he's talking about definition. So politically charged in and of itself is not a grift. In and of itself. Liar, yeah. Dishonest, yes. Greed, yes. Self-serving, yes. Inflammatory, even. Inflammatory in and of itself. By itself, inflammatory and politically charged don't fit with what a grift would be. It wouldn't. In and of itself. You have to combine it with these other two. So if we're talking about just strictly words that can basically be synonymous with grifting, these two don't work by themselves. By themselves, these don't work.
And audience captured. Those are the things that come to mind for me, at least.
Audience captured? No, audience captured is not a sign of grifting. Audience capture basically means you have to do everything to please your audience. It's not, this has nothing to do with grifting. This is just basically you are adjusting your content to please your audience, specifically to please your audience. But again, if we're talking about by itself, this word, and this word don't track as being synonymous with grift. By themselves. In it, like, again, if you combo these up with some of these other ones, sure, but not by itself.
Think of a grifter, and these are typically the accusations that are being invoked by people when they call their political opponents grifters. So, what am I actually saying when I call these people grifters? Well, I do believe they're dishonest to varying degrees.
Why? What? Why is that? Oh goodness. Thank you, Shadowscape. Oh God, I have to. Okay, hopefully that's I thought I'd beat that. Thank you for the 10 gifted, Shadowscape. Thank you very much. Okay, let me back that up. Hang on. What are you saying?
Well, I do believe they're dishonest.
Why? See, here's where we get into it. I think they're dishonest. Why? Why do you consider they're dishonest? Maybe he's going to answer in the next few seconds. But just calling someone dishonest because you don't agree with their opinion or you don't like their opinion does not make them dishonest. Flat out. It's like just because the information or the opinions that they put out are contradictory or destroy your personal narrative about something you've always just believed to be true and wasn't, doesn't make them dishonest. It doesn't, no matter how hard you try.
To varying degrees, sure, but I believe they're all lying fairly often.
There we go. How? Where's your evidence? See, that is an inflammatory statement. That's a flat-out inflammatory statement. Where is your evidence to prove that they are lying? Because when all of them talk about things, 9 times out of 10, they are actually producing evidence right there on screen for everything that they talk about. 9 times out of 10, anything that they discuss about, it's, newsworthy and stuff, they actually put their sources right on the screen for everybody and their mother to see. So how are they lying? How are they lying? Where is your proof? Where is your evidence that they are lying? Or are you being a grifter and saying, Trust me, bro. They're lying. Just trust me, bro.
I believe that they're intentionally
He's making
choosing
an
inflammatory
accusation of
topics.
dishonesty without providing evidence to substantiate it, which is an actual ad hominem fallacy.
And he's also ISIL stealer. Welcome. He's also grifting by lying and using inflammatory statements to better himself financially. Because he's making these lying statements about other far more popular content creators than him. So he's grifting off of them and their popularity to smear them, to get attention, to get views for his channel, to get him money. He's the one that's actually being the grifter right now. Now, granted, is he actually making a lot of money? Well, let's see how many views he's gotten. Let's see how many views he's gotten. 2.8K views in 5 days. Oh, by the way, chat, you remember the video of his that we watched before where he was, this video right here that he's got the thumbnail for? Remember that video of his that we watched where he was dogging on Leaflet, Kirsche, and Rev? By the way, God only knows why he put, oh yeah, that's right, he criticized Powder, that's why Powder's in here. Yeah, remember how after 4 days he had 4,000 views on that video? Do you guys remember that? How he had 4,000 views after 4 days? Yeah, my react video on that, yeah, I got that 4,000 in 24 hours. I literally hit his 4-day viewer mark in 24 hours with my react video to him. And this video is 5 days old and only has 2.5K views. So it's so funny. He's actually trying to grift off of his hyperbole and his inflammatory statements and his actual lies about these content creators for the purposes of making money. And he's not going to make any money. He's only got 2.5K views. That's not going to make him any money. What's really funny is my react video to this might actually gain more viewership. I don't know if it will or not. It may or may not. I don't know. YouTube algorithm is finicky. But if I gain more viewership than him on my react video to this,
Idiot! Oh,
what's so funny is I'm not monetized. So I may potentially get more views than him on his own video. I'll make no money off of it. And I'll still have achieved more views than him. Not really. It's 2,000 views is you're making like cents. You're making like 10 cents off of 2,000 views. You really do not start making money, to my understanding. You really don't start making money on YouTube videos till you start hitting like 5 or 6 digit viewership. Realistically speaking. 4-digit viewership, you're not making anything.
If they're all lying fairly often. I believe that they're intentionally choosing inflammatory topics and commenting on them in ways that they know will rile up their audiences and drive.
Okay, they're discussing current events. That's what they do. That's literally how they've built their channels, discussing current events. And guess what? Got a news flash for you. Current events right now are quite inflammatory by their very nature alone. They're not making them inflammatory. The news in and of itself is quite inflammatory these days. In case you've been living under a fucking rock, we are living during a time of social and political strife. They are simply reporting on it and adding their own either opinions or personal life experiences to offer context. But the news in and of itself is inflammatory. They're not doing that. It's just the way the fucking world is right now.
Engagement. I think they're willing to, at the very least, push the boundaries of their actual beliefs, if not flat out misrepresent them when they do this. Most.
How are misrepresent? How? Where's okay? Okay. So this guy is saying that all of like Kirsche, Rev, and Leaf, are misrepresenting their beliefs. Cool. Where's your proof? Where's your proof that they're misrepresenting their beliefs in any way, shape, or form? Rev is unabashedly Christian. Unabashedly so. He has not made this any secret. He is basically, he said, I am Christian, that is my belief, this, and has talked about that during his reacts. He's saying, to me, it's this, to me, I feel this way because of my religious beliefs. How is that misrepresenting himself? You're just, again, you're just spewing out inflammatory words, and with a literal, trust me, bro, this is how it is. You're, is this whole video going to be another trust me, bro? I have a feeling it might be.
Most of them seem to have gone down a similar route of courting a reactionary audience through anti-woke commentary and then leaning into more and more inflammatory topics until they're essentially just openly criticizing anything remotely liberal or leftist and shilling for the MAGA movement either explicitly or implicitly by only...
Of course. Because of course. Because you can't have anything left, you can't have a single opinion that is left of extreme, you can have any opinion that is even the slightest right of extreme and not be labeled as MAGA. Because of course. Literally, this is a Hasan talking, he's doing Hasan's talking points right now. He is literally picking from Hasan's talking points. Because remember, Hasan actually said in a public venue, in an interview process, he actually said, if you don't agree with me, then you're alt-right. Now, that is a paraphrase. Then it's not literal, but it is a paraphrase. He has said that if anyone who disagrees with the way I think is alt-right. So anything right of Hasan is alt-right / MAGA. It's not possible in people like this's head for you to basically have any thoughts of your own. You cannot have your own opinions. You cannot think unlike the hive mind. And if you do, you are insert label for extreme right here. Extreme right, alt-right, MAGA, Nazi, fascist. If you think differently from us, you are evil and should be ended. And they use these terminologies like fascist, racist, Nazi, Istophobe, blah, 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 blah. They use that. They use the language, which he's not going to address in this. They're using that to paint a target on you. They literally use these words to dehumanize you, to make you easier to attack, and to make you easier to kill. But he's not going to address that in this video. Guarantee. Because he sits in the same camp as Hasan. Anything to even the slightest bit right of my opinions is alt-right, MAGA, extremist, what have you. You should not have your own thoughts. You should just have my thoughts and parrot my talking points.
Or leftist and shilling for the MAGA movement either explicitly or implicitly by only covering topics that are negative towards MAGA's enemies? Do we actually believe that these people have an informed opinion about the governor of a state they don't even live in? Or are...
Yes. Yes, we do. Do you know why? Because they, particularly Kirsche, does research. They don't they don't go into their opinions blindly. Kirsche especially does a fuck ton of research. She digs into this shit. She pulls up documentation. She pulls up research. She pulls up reports. She pulls up news articles. She does her research. So her opinions are at minimum reasonably well informed. At minimum. Yeah, you're right. She is kind of autistic about that stuff, and God bless her for it. So yeah, they're not going in blind. They're not going in just off the cuff. They actually research into the stuff that they are talking about. Unlike you. You did a bare minimum bit of research about connotation and what was it? Connotation and denotation. You did the barest minimum of research in connotation and denotation. You looked up the dictionary definition of grift, and you said, I'm smart. I can talk about this. I can bash on other VTubers that talk about the news on a daily fucking basis because I am smart. And I did 5 seconds of research, so I am no smarter than you. You stupid MAGA. Like, seriously, doing 5 seconds looking up dictionary definitions does not make you an informed person on the subject matter. Not in the fucking slightest. These guys would fucking dog walk you with their level of research that they do.
Are they just following the hot topics that their audience will react most strongly to? To be fair, it is entirely possible that these people are not grifting at all. It is entirely...
Stop there. Stop right there. Say nothing else. If you stop right there and you go and you say it's entirely possible they may not be grifting at all, you could get like a smidge, the barest hair's breadth of respect back if you just stop right there. Let's see if he does, chat.
It is entirely possible that they are 100% sincere in all of their beliefs, and they are only making this type of content because they think it's good and they are achieving something positive with it. That is possible. I admit that. Personally, I find that possibility even more sad than if they were just doing it for money.
And he face planted the fucking landing. He was there. I think yes, I will admit, it's possible that they actually believe in what they're talking about. He had it. He could have gotten that hair's breadth of respect back, and then he just went, nope, kabunk, and face planted. You have to try. You have to actively try to fuck up this badly.
Fascist.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Okay, so this one is a bit more of a complex definition. I said this...
No, it really isn't. It really is not more of a complex definition. When it comes to things like fascism, it's dirt fucking simple. There's nothing complex about this. He wants to try and make it complex to justify why he is oh so in the right for calling people fascist for no reason, other than disagreeing with your opinion and engaging in wrongfic, which, ironically enough, is fascist. So let us hear him desperately try to claim that him calling people fascist is not actually in and of itself fascist. Shall we?
In another video, but Ian Kershaw, a historian who is regarded as one of the foremost experts on Nazi Germany, famously said, trying to define fascism is like trying to nail jelly to a wall. Different fascist regimes have different characteristics, and it seems to be actually fairly hard to have a one-size-fits-all definition of fascism. Another difficulty is that, much like communism, fascist governments do not act exactly within the stated tenets of their political movement. It's important to look at their actions alongside other factors.
And okay, and here we go. Now we're seeing, yeah. Now we're moving the goalposts. Now he's trying. He's doing some heavy lifting of trying to get these goalposts moved as far as possible. Fascism is not difficult. Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Zeb. You saved me from having to look it up. Dictionary definition of fascism: a populist political philosophy, movement, or regime that exalts nation and often race above the individual. And let us not forget that along with that ideology comes the actions. That the actions of fascism is you are not allowed to think against fascism. You are not allowed to basically speak out against fascism, because speaking out against a fascist governmental regime or a fascist political movement will result in you literally being disappeared off the face of the earth. So it's not only the dictionary definition, but the established actions of every fascist regime in the history of the human race. That is clear cut. Every fascist regime, every fascist government, every fascist leadership throughout the history of humanity has been exemplified by the fact that these fascist regimes will disappear you into the nothing if you speak out against that political fascist regime. They literally will suppress freedom of speech. They will suppress freedom of thought. And if you violate this, you get disappeared forever. That is universal throughout human history. Let's see how he tries to twist this and how much goalpost moving he does.
Simply going off their stated ideology will not give you an accurate picture. Robert Paxton, a historian and author of The Anatomy of Fascism, gives this definition: a form of political behavior marked by obsessive preoccupation with community decline, humiliation, or victimhood, and by compensatory cults of unity, energy, and purity, in which a mass-based party of committed nationalist militants, working in uneasy but effective collaboration with traditional elites, abandons democratic liberties and pursues with redemptive violence, and without ethical or legal restraints, goals of internal cleansing and external expansion.
Boy, that looks familiar, doesn't it? Boy, this looks awfully familiar, doesn't it? Let's break this down. Political behavior marked by obsessive preoccupation with community decline. What are certain people constantly harping on? How minorities are constantly being oppressed, how illegal immigrants are actually oppressed peoples. Okay, so we got that. Humiliation. Well, gee, what happens when you go against them? They try to humiliate you at every turn. Look what's happened recently in social media. There's been absolute insane harassment campaigns and humiliation campaigns against anybody that disagrees with their thinking, or victimhood by compensatory cults of unity, energy, and purity. What have we heard a lot about lately in who has been doing the purity testing so much as of late? And claiming victimhood all the fucking time. Gee, I wonder who's been doing that. On which a mass-based party of committed nationalist militants. You mean like the militants who are currently rioting through multiple states throughout the Union right now? And attacking law enforcement and burning property and attacking civilians and demanding civilians identify themselves to make sure that they are not affiliated with the so-called federal police agencies that are currently doing operations in multiple cities around the country? You mean like those militant nationalists? Huh? Like, this motherfucker literally just pulled up the very definition to describe him and the people on his side of this ideology. He literally just put it up on the screen. Congratulations, dumbass. You just played yourself. This is literally you and everybody that you ascribe similar ideology with.
Obsessive preoccupation with community decline, humiliation, or victimhood.
No. Wait. Okay. Where's their humiliation or victimhood? You could maybe do the victim one here. Where's the humiliation here? And then what was his other article they flashed by? Nations that close borders and they expel foreigners in UN speech, your country is being ruined. Where's the humiliation? Like, seriously.
Find humiliation or victimhood. The idea
What is
that
this guy
America
talking
is
about?
no longer great and needs to be made great again. The idea that immigrants are flooding our country and ruining it.
Okay, first and foremost, the Make America Great Again, it's a campaign thing. He literally, it's also not the first fucking time that's been used. Trump's Make America Great Again is literally not the first time that slogan has been used for a politician in the past. In fact, I'm reasonably sure it was Ronald fucking Reagan that first used Make America Great Again. If I'm remembering my history correctly, Reagan used it. I think, if I'm remembering correctly. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. Well, yeah, some countries do eat pets. You think Clinton used it? Okay, maybe Clinton used it. I forget. For some reason, I thought Reagan did. Maybe Clinton used it. It's a common thing. Like, Make America Great is a common thing. It only got basically turned into it only got turned into this like quote of toxicity when Trump said it. And again, the reason why is because he's an asshole. And that's why, again, from a personality standpoint, Trump is an asshole. And because he used it and the way he used it, they all of a sudden describe like, oh, no president in the history of America has ever used the expression of making America great again. Trump is the only one that did it, and it is now an evil phrase when, bruh, was Reagan the first? Okay, I thought for sure Reagan was the first. So Reagan used it, Clinton used it. Like, okay, so I was right. Okay, I was right. I am smart. I am smart. I was right. So yeah, Reagan has used it and Clinton has used it. A Republican used it and a Democrat used it. Both political parties have used this. But because it's Trump, they're now basically colloquializing it as, oh, it's MAGA. Oh, it's MAGA. It's not the first time this has been used. And people basically, what they did is they needed a buzzword. They needed a buzzword to rally behind. That's why it happened. Because the hatred for Trump ran so hot and so deep, they took the Make America Great or MAGA, and they took that and they basically turned it into a symbol for them to target. And it's because these people can't actually think for themselves and they have to basically follow in lockstep with what the hive mind does, they're too either brainwashed or stupid to realize this is not the first time a president has used this expression. It's been used several times in the past by both parties. It's not unique in that matter. But they needed that symbol. That's really what it boils down to.
Causing decline. The idea that we are humiliated on the world stage.
Oh yeah, by the way, hang on.
The idea that America is no longer great and needs to be made great again. The idea that immigrants are flooding our country and ruining it, causing decline.
I detect no lies in that statement, even though he's saying it sarcastically. Where's the lie? There has been a huge illegal immigration problem, and we have seen the results of it in the insane amounts of fraud that are now being discovered. So not only are people in the country illegal and basically, taking on jobs that, at excessively lower rates because the employers can basically hold the immigration status over their head and won't actually pay decent wages. And therefore, they won't hire actual American citizens because they would have to pay them a higher wage. That's why they use the illegal aliens, so they could pay them at a lower wage and hold this their immigration status above their head to turn them into literal fucking slaves. But we're also now discovering massive amounts of fraud that have been committed by these illegal immigrants. And that's even before we even start touching on the criminality of so many of these illegal immigrants. We are seeing scores of illegal immigrants that have been taken into custody and shipped out that are violent offenders, that are sexual offenders, that are child sex offenders, like so fucking many of them. Yes, they are legitimately doing harm to the country. They are. That is factually correct. But he doesn't like facts because facts completely derail his entire argument. The specific quote he's showing Trump was referring to the legal immigrants, that they're eating the pests of the people that live there. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know where this quote is from. I could not tell you. But again, I don't know if this is in the same line as kicking them out of the country. Because I don't know the context of this quote. This could just be him talking about people that come to the country that are poorly behaved. Like maybe they came into the country legally, but they didn't leave behind any barbaric practices from their home country. But they may still be legal. I don't know if this is specifically referring to needing to get illegal immigrants out of the country. Don't know the context. He was referencing a Facebook rumor. Okay, he was referencing that. So, but again, what he's talking about is everything that he's trying to say sarcastically is factually happening. But because it's facts, he's going to ignore them and say, oh no, it's just lies by the MAGA group.
Decline, the idea that we are humiliated on the world stage, which Trump has repeated over and over again. Cults of unity, energy, and pure.
Okay, to that respect of no longer respect on the world stage, Biden didn't help. I will agree. I will agree that that Biden, when he was in office, did not help matters. I can agree with that. It's basically the no longer respected on the world stage. Okay, this is gonna be complicated, so don't freak out until you let me hear. Or until you hear what I have to say. It did start with Trump. However, it started with Trump literally because of his attitude. Because Trump basically led with the attitude of an asshole, that's where the respect of the world started to decrease. Now, Biden's term didn't help. Okay, because Biden was very weak during his tenure as well. So it basically continued. So the decline in terms of worldwide respect, it did begin with Trump, but it didn't increase when Biden was in office. And it's basically just continued to decline. Yes, agreed. Agreed. He's an egotistical asshole. He's not a fascist. I have said as much. I've said, I think Trump is a giant fucking asshole that likes to pretend he's a mob boss. And that's not a commentary on any on his at large, how he conduct, how he basically puts out policy and things like that. That's not a commentary on that. As a person, he's a fucking asshole, and I hate him as a person. But I separate that from what he does as president. I actually, as a rational thinking human being, can separate the two. I can think he's a fucking asshole and hate him as a person, but there are some things that he has done as president that I'm like, okay, I'm good with that. You can do that as a normal person. You don't have to be all in one way or the other. You can compartmentalize a little bit when it comes to someone in a political office. He doesn't. He can't do that because he's part of the hive mind and can't think for himself.
Which Trump has repeated over and over again. Cults of unity, energy, and purity. Party of national.
Wait, what was that last part? Hang on. They? I don't know who this is. Who is this? Does anybody know who this is? Because you have some nameless person on Twitter, because of course he took one fucking Twitter user that said something about this guy going, you should go back to India. Well, no, it's not Trump, but he is basically ascribing this person to Trump out of pocket. Zivek running for governor in Ohio. Okay, so he's running for the governorship in Ohio. And he's taking one person, on Twitter, some nameless person on Twitter, and saying, look, Trump, look, MAGA. It's a nameless person called Koof Pops, or Koof Cops. And look, that's got to be MAGA, right? Because it's not possible that someone who is not MAGA might actually say that, right? Right? Because you either think one way or the other way. It's not like you can think one way. It's not like you can actually ascribe to a certain ideology, but also in some ways think in a different way. It's not like humans are complex creatures that have complex minds. No, that certainly wouldn't be possible. No, not at all. No, it's got to be MAGA. Got to be.
Party of nationalist militants working in uneasy but effective collaboration with traditional elites, abandons democratic liberties and pursues with redemptive violence and without.
Okay, so this part here. Trump suggests U.S. shouldn't even have November midterms. This is what he does. This is one of my criticisms about him. is that he he says insane, outrageous shit and doesn't mean it. He's basically he's literally the troll president, which is actually an issue that I have. He is the troll president, and I actually do have an issue with that. Yeah, I would be curious about what the article actually says, but of course he's not going to show that. It would not surprise me if he offhandedly made this comment. That I legitimately would not be surprised if he actually made this comment during one of his talks, because God knows when he talks about something, he will go off on a tangent worse than I do. So this, I would not be surprised if he said this, but I also know that most of the time he's fucking trolling, which again is a criticism I have, is that if you are all the time trolling, how can anybody ever take you seriously? And so that is legit one of my criticisms. Yeah, you do a little trolling, okay, fine, whatever. But he's constantly doing it, and yeah, I know that's why Nux and Leaflet like him so much. My brain doesn't work that way. My brain, someone that's constantly trolling, my brain's going well, I can never take this person seriously. I have no idea when they're being serious, so why should I listen to them if they're constantly trolling? But that's how my brain works. My brain's a little fucked up in that respect. It's one of the problems that I have with it. Is okay, you're the president of the free world. I agree. It's a terrible choice for a leader to be consistently fucking trolling, because not only do your allies not have any idea when you're being serious, your enemies don't know when you're being serious. That one you can argue okay, it's keeping them off balance. But you don't know when your allies don't know when you're being serious. So they're going DEFCON fucking 4 because they've we don't know if he's being serious, so we got to prepare for the worst. And the people of the country don't know when he's being serious either. So you're going to have extreme reactions coming all over the place when he's just fucking around. That's where I have a problem with him doing so much trolling. It's gotten to a point where it is far exceeded way too much, and I don't like it. I don't like the way he does it, because it doesn't feel like something a president does. It doesn't feel like something a leader that you can have confidence in does. Because you never know if he's just going to get a wild hair up his ass and say something crazy, and you have no idea if the crazy thing is going to happen or not. And yes, the argument is made, well, it keeps the enemies off balance. Yeah, but it also fucks with the allies and it fucks with your own people. Yeah, exactly. It's like the whole thing of the boy who cried wolf. Exactly.
Abandons democratic liberties and pursues with redemptive violence and without ethical or legal.
And here is where the grifting comes into play for him. Redemptive violence. As a reminder, chat, there are 3 publicized shootings that were involved with ICE or Border Patrol. 3. 2 that unfortunately resulted in fatalities and involved protesters that basically decided to fuck with ICE. One basically struck an agent trying to run away from them. One of them who has been aggressive towards ICE, and when they went to take him into custody, he fought back, and the end result was, we know what the end result is. The investigation is still going on with that, so I'm not going to go too deep into what happened with that second incident, because, well, I want to wait for the investigation to finish up before I make further commentary on that. But we've talked at length about it. And then the third one was someone attacking an ICE agent with a shovel, and they got a bullet in the leg for the trouble. That's it. How many rioters have injured ICE agents, civilians, stolen from civilians, created massive property damage, actually terrorized whole buildings full of people, and you're going to try and say that, ICE is violent? No, that's a lie. That's a literal lie. To conflate the three major incidents that ICE was involved in, compared to everything that the rioters have done, now you're full of shit.
Abandons democratic liberties and pursues with redemptive violence and without ethical or legal.
Yeah, and that's the word I was looking for. He was talking about redemptive violence. Redemptive violence? They're literally doing their job. There's no redemption involved here. This is a federal police agency granted powers by the United States Congress. The United States Congress gave ICE their law enforcement authority. They are doing their jobs in accordance with their law enforcement mandate, in accordance with the laws of the United States. No, it doesn't fit with the definition of redemptive violence. By him saying redemptive violence, meaning that they are going on a violent attack for redemption, to facilitate redemption for some slight that has occurred, which they have not done. Literally any and all violence that has been conducted by ICE and Border Patrol since all of this has happened has been in a self-defense capacity. Again, there's the one, the use of force is necessary for order. But that's just it. Their use of force was defensive in nature, not offensive, therefore not redemptive. They were all defensive. Again, with the Peretti shooting, again, that one is a clusterfuck and a half of what happened. Again, we need to wait for the full report to come out to basically figure out what happened overall. But that whole thing was a clusterfuck by everyone involved. Wait on the report on that. But the other two incidents were defensive in nature, not offensive. And redemptive violence would indicate an offensive level of violence to inflict it.
Ethical or legal restraints, goals of internal cleansing and external expansion. So what am I saying when I call the current Republican administration fascist? I'm saying they're fucking fascists.
No. And you're wrong. You're flat out wrong. They're not fascists. Every definition you gave does not ascribe to every example he just gave does not ascribe to it. Because here's the reality. If this was fascism, if you were living in a fascist country right now, you would have disappeared a long time ago. If you were living in a fascist country, because don't forget, he made a video prior to the one that we saw about Rev, Leaf, and Kershay, which apparently was very violent in its rhetoric regarding fascism. Well, we're not going to watch it, but from what people told me, like you guys that have seen it, or comments in my video section, the video he made about fascism was extreme violent rhetoric. So if the U.S. was actually a fascist regime and a fascist state, he would not be making this current video. He would have been black-bagged and spirited off to a black site, never to be heard from again, and even his family would not know where to collect the remains from. If he was actually living in a fascist state right now. But he's not, because you still have your freedom of speech to spew off this garbage, just like I have my freedom of speech to basically counteract it and say you're full of shit. So no, it's not fascism. You're wrong. You're wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Glad I could clear this up.
Nixon himself said that he hesitated to call Trump a fascist, but that hesitation is gone after January 6th, when Trump attempted to coup the government. Trump's incitement of the invasion of the Capitol on January 6, 2020 removes my objection to the fascist label. His open encouragement of civic violence to overturn an election crosses a red line. The label...
If he actually did attempt to overturn the election, then he would have sent the military in. You're like, yeah, you can say that January 6th, like, okay, I'm not even going to get into January 6th because there's so much fucking conspiracy theory shit going on regarding January 6th. I'm not even going to get into it. If he actually went the fastest route to try and overturn the government, he would have actually done it. That's it. That's it. Again, I'm not going to go into January 6th because there's so much shit about that. There's like theories and conspiracy theories and supposed evidence out there. I'm not even going to get into it. But the bottom line is, if he actually was a fascist, then he would have overturned the election by force. But he didn't. And guess what? In the end, there was a peaceful transition of power between two presidents. A fascist would not have allowed that. Okay? A fascist would, if he was a fascist, he literally would not have allowed another man to take on the role of president if he was actually a fascist.
Now seems not just acceptable, but necessary. Is made even more plausible by a comparison with a milestone on Europe's road to fascism. Openly fascist demonstration in Paris during the night of February 6, 1934. On that evening, thousands of French veterans of World War I, bitter at rumors of corruption in a parliament already discredited by its inefficacy against the Great Depression, attempted to invade the French parliament chamber just as the deputies were voting yet another shaky government into power. The veterans had been summoned by right-wing organizations. They made no secret of their wish to replace what they saw as a weak parliamentary government with a fascist dictatorship on the model of Hitler or Mussolini.
Okay. So this is not even the same as January 6th. This is not even the same thing. One does nothing to do with the other. This is a completely, what he's trying to do is he's trying to equate this French movement with January 6th. And I think this was after, wait, when did he say this was? Yeah, this was before Hitler. Yeah. 1934. Yeah, so Robert Paxton. Yeah, he's basically trying to compare this event in 1934 in Paris with January 6th, and it's not even close. And you just made yourself look like an idiot.
Voting
it's
yet
not the same
another
thing.
shaky government into power. No secret of their wish to replace what they saw as a weak parliamentary government with a fascist dictatorship on the model of Hitler or Mussolini. These are the words of an actual fascism expert. So, I stand by my characterization of this administration. You might have figured out by now that the reason I felt like making...
Why do you have a background of a children's section in a bookstore? This is twice now that he has had childlike backgrounds. The other video, he had a background of like Chuck E. Cheese or something. Now we have a background of the children's section of a bookstore. Why? What? Yeah.
FBI, open up!
I think someone's hard drives might need to take a look at.
This video is that recently I've been accused quite a bit of not understanding the meaning of words that I'm using. I've been told in the last week many times that I don't know what a grifter is or what a fascist is, and that led me to decide to explore some of these concepts in a video because it...
And you still fucked it up! You decided to explore it for a video, and then you still fucked it up 10 ways from Tuesday. So you learned nothing. You're accused of using words incorrectly, and you go, I'm gonna make a video exploring this topic. Hang on. Let me do literally 2 seconds of research. I'm an expert now. And just fucking face plants into a pile of dog shit. You explored nothing. You basically just said, I'm right, you're wrong, hang on, let me move these goalposts back a little bit more. Okay, yeah, see, I'm right. See, the goalposts have moved. I'm actually right.
It seemed like a neat thing to do some research on, and because I honestly felt
Research.
like I was pretty confident in my word choice. So one last
Research.
concept I want to talk about just a bit before I end, how language is collaborative. People will say some words have lost all meaning. And I agree, some words have had their meanings changed.
No. It's not that words have lost their meaning. It's people like yourself have destroyed or are trying to destroy the meaning of words. This is a deliberate action. This is people like this individual are deliberately trying to destroy words to use them as offensive weapons against people that you don't like, people that do not share your ideology, people that do not share your political beliefs, people that do not share your religious beliefs. You're using it, you're destroying language in an effort to try and dehumanize people that you see as enemies, so you can then also use these same words to paint them as a target for your cohorts who don't mind getting their hands dirty. That's what you're doing.
Changed or muddied, and that can make communication complicated. But no matter who you are, I guarantee you are using at least some words for their modern colloquial meaning that are completely different and sometimes contradictory to their original definitions. The question that matters
Which is not the same thing as
has
what
a
we're
word
talking
lost
about.
its meaning. The question is, do you understand what someone is trying to say when they use that word? At the beginning,
Yes, and that's the problem. We do know what they're trying to say when they use the word. And that's the problem that we have, is because the way you're using the word. Even though you're trying to destroy what the actual word means to conflate it to fit your narrative, we still understand what you're trying to do, and it doesn't make it any better.
beginning of this video, when explaining the idea of this denotation, connotation, continuum, I mentioned that when you use a word, you're sort of staking out a spot in this continuum, then hoping the person that you communicate with will see that spot that you've staked out and then pull the meaning that they are interpreting from that same spot. One thing to note here is that this collaboration is not always smooth. Sometimes people misunderstand your meaning, stake out a spot for your intention, and they pull their interpretation from an entirely different spot in that continuum, leading to miscommunication.
Yeah.
And communicating with somebody,
Well, yes, you're correct. Like, people like this are the ones that believe in fascism, that they hold fascism as their mantra. You are correct. And he's putting out this video to try to say, oh, no, you're wrong. We're not actually the fascists. You're the fascists. See, we're actually on the right side of history, and you're on the wrong side of history. And that's why we're calling you fascists, because fascists traditionally was indicating people that were on the wrong side of history. So if I call you fascist, then I can basically paint you as being on the wrong side of history, so you won't look at me and go, I'm actually the fascist one, because I'm actually doing the fascist shit. But if I call you the fascist, I can conflate it, and therefore I can make you the target for all of my brain-dead followers or my hive mind cohorts to basically target you and attack you. It's basically the typical fascist playbook. Literally just reorienting and deflecting onto your target. By saying your target is the bad guy, I'm the good guy, and using the language that would be used to describe yourself to describe your target, because the people that are following you or the people that are like the hive mind with you actually know the word, but if you conflate it to indicate someone else that you don't like, that doesn't share in your beliefs, and that's it, then they can go, oh, well, that's the bad guy, we have to destroy them. Yeah, it's basically, I just did a very extremely wordy and long-winded version of projection. Offensive projection.
sometimes you can even understand the meaning they are attempting to stake out, even if they're not actually doing a very good job. And if you like this person, you'll probably just choose to cooperate with them despite this error and indicate that you do understand what they're trying to say. On the other hand, if you are intentionally being non-cooperative with somebody and trying to undermine their communication, you might do something like accuse them of using a word incorrectly, despite the intended meaning being within the widely known connotations of that word. Just focus on the denotation not matching up exactly and choose to not understand as a way of undermining that communication.
No, you know what normal people do? If you use a word in a connotation that they are not readily understanding, and they actually exhibit that they have not understood what you're saying, you know what a normal rational person does when that happens, they explain what they're trying to say. If you say something and that person looks at you funny, go, that doesn't make sense. What are you talking about? It's this and this. That a normal person will go, no, I'm talking about it like this. I'm referring to it like this. They will explain what they mean if there seems to be some obvious, I don't understand. That's what a normal person does, not a hive mind.
You might be doing this consciously, choosing to appear as if you don't understand their meaning as a rhetorical tactic, or you might just be so hostile towards what they're saying that you genuinely are not capable of finding out their intended meaning because your hostility prevents you from collaborating in your communication with them. When this
Is
is
this guy
the state
talking
of
to
the
himself right now?
communication, I guess you can either make a long-winded video exploring the concepts of language and how words work in an effort to justify your choice of language.
How can someone be this stupid?
It's deliberate. And I don't think it's actually stupid. I don't think this is that. I don't think this is pure stupidity. This is intentional because, again, it's an attempt to conflate and to try and basically, it's essentially a form, it's propaganda. This is deliberate propaganda to say, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm moving the goalpost, and I'm right, and I'm correct in my calling of these other individuals fascists. You have to believe me because if you don't, you're a fascist. That's what it is. It is basically typical, fascist, authoritarian, whatever descriptor you want to ascribe this to. It's the typical behavior of when they try to basically silence any oppositions to their ideology. That's what this is. This is his attempt to silence people that do not agree with him. Because and by doing so, trying to basically paint them as a target. That's it. That's what he's trying to do.
Language to these hostile people, or you could go outside and ignore them, I guess. That's probably the better option. I'd recommend that one.
Follow your own advice, dude. Follow your own advice. Okay, so I saw one of the comments of this video that perfectly describes it for me. Mr. President, the second goalpost has been moved. That is the perfect descriptor of this. At least he hasn't removed the comment section. L plus ratio, what a massive day for the unemployed. I guarantee you don't know the definition of any of those words. You, a fascist, someone whose politics are even slightly to the right of mine, and a grifter, someone who earns money while saying things I don't like. Absolute clown. Redditor comb over vibes. He doesn't share ideas, just hate, poisoning, strawman arguments, and other common tactics used to attack characters and not ideas. No idea what he was trying to show here other than that he likes to use his words to do exactly this. He's a grifter by his own logic as well. Fun facts. Exactly. Yeah, he basically did this whole video to literally prove that everything he just said in this video applies to him. He literally just defined himself.